because something interesting actually is I believe Dave sent me an article, brother Dave sent me an article, and it was with regards to, I believe, Moses, after leaving Egypt, was in Ethiopia briefly and was there as a king. I'm sure Dave is going to give you the full story on it, but basically what happened was once Moses murdered an Egyptian man in Egypt who was afflicting his fellow Israelite brother, he fled to Ethiopia where the king welcomed him. And once the king died, the Ethiopians were looking for a king to replace him, so they put Moses there on the throne under one specific condition, that he would marry the king's widow, which he did, but he only married her in name. And I find that really interesting because Dave only sent me that article that touched on it in the book of Joshua a few months ago. And a few years ago, I asked you in one of your videos, I was like, why would the Most High punish Miriam for reprimanding Moses by telling him that he shouldn't have married a strange woman? And I was like, that just doesn't make sense to me. Why would the Most High punish her, her for that with leprosy? Then once Dave sent me that, I was like, oh, it makes sense. He was only married to her in name, but didn't actually lie with her or turn his eyes towards her. So I do believe there is some credence to the apocrypha and the books of Enoch, Joshua, and Jubilee. I don't think we should completely shut them out altogether. But again, let's pray to Yah for discernment.
I agree. Well, let me add to that 1 second there. Let me add to that. Now, look, there was a time when I was of the understanding that the sons of God are the angels, but no, because the angel is established higher than man. You know, a man has never gone to an angel to help him. Angels come to man to help him. When the man needs understanding, the go-between is that angel who will bring that message to that man when that man does not have any understanding of what the message really is. So clearly, there's a 3-tier: Most High, angels, man. And like I said, once we look at the text clearly, the children of the Most High, sons and daughters of the Most High, is the children of Israel. And we can verify this by looking through the line from Israel all the way up to Seth. We can see where that lineage stays, so we know clearly who the sons and the daughters of the Most High is. So I was at one point of the understanding and thought that, well, the sons of God are the angels, but I'm no longer subscribed to that. It is sons and daughters of the Most High, and that is the children of Israel.
Sir.
Okay. I will say that there is another passage that says something like, and again, I don't know, I think it's in Job or something, where the sons of God sang together in the presence of the Most High, and it's clearly talking about angels. Now, yes, I know that we're dealing with a translation, so any discussion on the minutiae of the words is a bit moot, really, because they were chosen by a translator. But I'm just saying that there's a parallel there, that sons of God is also refers to angels. Now, the only reason not the only reason, but the main reason I subscribe to the Nephilim idea is not only because it's in the book of Enoch, it's also in the book of Jubilees. So Jubilees is the timeline for everything that happened in Genesis. And so it very clearly tells you what happens when, and including what happened when the angels came down. Mount Hermon is where they came down. It happens to be when Paris was the prime meridian, before it was Greenwich. Mount Hermon is exactly 33 degrees east and 33 degrees, I think it is north. It's exactly 33 and 33, yeah? And it's 2012 miles from the equator. It's, it just happens to be that place, right? Right now, on top of Mount Hermon, it's still a forbidden place. It's got a United Nations base on top of it, and nobody's allowed to go anywhere near it, yeah? it's always been known as a wicked place, and people aren't supposed to go there, and that is the place where the angels came down. Now, the reason why I say I feel like it's a true story is because the Old Testament is about bloodlines, just about bloodlines and corruption of bloodlines. Okay, the precursor of the fallen angels is Eve being seduced in the garden to try and mess up the bloodline. Yeah, if you plug in the fallen angels coming in and messing up the bloodline pre-flood, and these hybrids mixing with humanity so much that only one man is left untouched, right? That tells you why there had to be a flood. You had to get rid of that bloodline, but he couldn't get rid of it entirely, because, well, Noah had to marry somebody, and Noah had to have children, and they had to marry somebody. So all those somebodies, like Noah's wife, she was corrupted. The wives of Noah's sons were corrupted. So the rest of Genesis is about a process of cleansing and purifying the bloodline. So the event that's talked about in Genesis with Ham and Noah. So Ham goes in and apparently sees Noah naked, right? Well, that I'm proposing is Ham sleeping with his mother, Naamah, and so again, Naamah is of the line of Cain, okay, and she's got that wicked bloodline in her. So Ham is like a hybrid of Noah and Naamah, so he's got half of that lineage in well. Okay, so when they get together, that lineage comes out in Canaan. That's why Canaan was cursed. Right? He had that lineage concentrated in him. Okay, that's why all the offspring of Canaan, or some of the offspring of Canaan, were giants. They were the ites after the flood. Yeah. So yeah, it just makes sense to me that it's all about bloodline. It's all about this alien, bloodline from the fallen angels, infiltrating mankind, and then having to be purified out. And again, my contention is that the Most High goes through a process of purifying, choosing one particular person who is clean and directing their offspring, so directing their mating. So Abraham had to marry his half sister, right? When he married Keturah, or had sex with Keturah, Ishmael wasn't counted. He didn't count because that wasn't the bloodline. Yeah, it had to be the mixing of Abraham and Sarah to get Isaac. And then once Isaac was born, his children. So this is a funny DNA. The way it works is it's kind of like random, but every now and again, a certain sort of genetic trait becomes dominant in a person. Okay, and in the case of Esau and Jacob, that wicked DNA was concentrated in Esau, and it was absent in Jacob, which is why everybody under Jacob was now clean and became chosen. So that's mine. I think it's all down to bloodline, and it's all about a second seed line being introduced into this humanity.
Go ahead, Brother Henry.
Yeah, Dave, because you were saying about the royal family, like their bloodline. I've heard you speak about that before.
Right. Well, yes, Rh negative blood. That's one of the genetic traits. Rh negative blood. If anybody doesn't know anything about it, it's the negative factor. Everyone's got the blood types A, B, whatever O. but you have a positive and negative factor. If you're negative, it means your blood cells don't have a kind of protein coating on them. Okay. So in humanity, there's 15% of people who are Rh negative, but it's only 15% of humanity. Every other animal on Earth is a positive. It's just 15% of humanity that is a negative. And it means that if a Rh negative woman conceives of an Rh positive man, that woman's antibodies will attack the baby as a foreign object. Also indicating that that 15% of humanity is incompatible with the 85% of the rest of humanity. So it's telling us that there is a foreign DNA that's been added to the human genome. So yes, so as it pertains to the royal family, this Rh negative blood has more copper than iron in it. So it gave rise to this idea of, it has a blue tinge to it. And that's why we call those who have it blue bloods. Because again, the royal families, they derive their divine right to rule because they have the blood of the gods in them. That's why they say they have this divine right to rule. There were two royal families, essentially. Again, there was the Israelite royal family, the descendants of David, and that line died out in England with Charles II, the black boy. Okay, and after Charles II was deposed, they brought in a Germanic bloodline through William of Orange. Okay, and that Germanic bloodline is still on the throne today with with Elizabeth Saxe-Coburg Gotha Battenberg, aka the Queen. So yes, like everything else, it's the duality. Yeah, with you've got the 12 or 13 tribes of Israel against the
David, Dave. Oh,
He froze for a second. Okay. Before he gets back, I just want to say really quickly that something else that gives credence to that is these religions and the Greek Roman mythos of a quote unquote God coming to lay with the woman on earth, and they bear a half God, half man child like Zeus, Athena, and Hercules, for instance. We see this propagated over time and time again through various cultures and different religions and whatnot. We also see it in pop culture, from everything in movies to satanic music videos that are put out, aka outside of Hollywood, for instance, the city of angels, these angels that they keep referring to. Even the Church of Satan, their insignia is the Baphomet, which is, if we observe closely, an angel itself, the winged, goated, half goat, half man, hermaphroditic angel. So there are just these various things that, over time, as I believe Yah has continued to open my eyes, I see these signs in our world that keep hinting at the fact that indeed there is some truth to that story. One thing I found really interesting was in the book of Enoch, while I was reading it, it said that once the fallen angels transgressed, that the Most High asked Michael and a few other angels to bind them in the dark place up until the day of judgment. And I can't remember what videos I was watching or what research I was doing at the time, but in the book of Enoch, it talks about how the spirits of the Nephilim cannot ascend into the heavens, but can't remain on earth either permanently because they were never supposed to be here. So Satan kind of hovers in the in-between, which is interestingly what I've come to think are the planets that we're looking at. The planets being bound up, fallen angels, imprisoned, because I can't remember whose video I was watching. It might have been Dave's, but it showed a zoomed in picture of one of the planets, and you could see like the rings around the planets are like bindings on something that's seemingly trying to break free or bust out these wandering stars that we see around. And one thing that's really interesting about that is these so-called gods that are named in these religions are given the names of planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Apollo, God of the Sun, whatever the case may be. So just another thing to kind of tie the idea in together. Just wanted to add that.
Any Yuli or Kwame?
Dave, you had some technical difficulties. We weren't able to hear you clearly in your last comment. Part of the last minute or so, we didn't really get to hear you. So you may want to repeat what you have said because we weren't able to hear you.
I can't remember what I said. Was the last thing I said now.
Dave, you talking.
Sorry, Kwame.
You were talking about the royal family, the bloodlines. You know, the two bloodlines: the bloodline of Jacob and then the blood of the like the Saxe-Coburgs, Gothams.
Right. Well, the interesting thing is, I say the line ended with Charles II, but it really came to the fore with King James of the King James Bible. Yeah, and supporters of King James were known as Jacobites. Yeah, it tells you right there who they were. Yeah, they were the children of Jacob. The other bloodline, well, the Germanic bloodline, they were known as Anglo-Saxons. So the word Saxon comes from Isaac's sons. Yeah, the Anglo-Saxons are the angelic sons of Isaac. Yeah, so they're telling you who who that line was. So again, it's this dualistic battle between bloodlines. Yeah, and it's right now come down to, the children of Israel who don't know who they are against this elite bloodline who do know who we are and are actively trying to wipe us off the face of the earth.